Hey guys, it's SJ. This is Baby Name Monday. Welcome to this episode. Should I call them episodes? This video. Today we're going to keep it simple and I'm going to do unique baby boy names. So I've done loads of different lists and normally they're kind of all themed. But this, I really want to hit that sweet spot that so many of us have to find a name that feels really unique, that it can be special. People couldn't say, oh, I love that name, I've never heard that name, or it's got a special reason why you might choose it, but it isn't sort of totally rare and out there and offbeat, if you like. So this is the kind of name list that seriously I think I would for sure want if I was having another baby, which I'm not, as I say. I always have to caveat, I have 3 children of my own. I've actually done a video before, I just remembered about how I picked my children's names and then also how I became this kind of like baby name expert. So you'll often see me in the press talking about baby names and stuff around the UK, and there's a bit of a story about how I sort of got into that on that video. So I thought I would link it below if you've got a bit of extra time during lockdown still. And let's get on with my list. So I'm going to go through my top 25 unique boy names. I love them all, their rankings and their meanings. And then over on my community tab, all my subscribers, as always, we all join in, and there are over 250 comments, of which most had like 7 or 8 names as well. So there's so many names there. It's literally the best name resource, way better than any of the books, right there on my community tab. So do hit subscribe if you're new. Go over there, make the most of it, and get ready to join in for next week if you didn't already this week. I just wanted to say before we start a massive congrats to Jess L, one of our community here, who had a little baby boy just 6 weeks ago. I'm sure that was so difficult. All of you who are pregnant and giving birth during this pandemic, I've really been, you know, we've talked about a lot how we know how different and difficult it is, and she chose the gorgeous name Ambrose, which she heard here on a list. So yes, congrats to Jess and you all, and welcome baby Ambrose. Actually, how I wrote this list was just a brain dump of all names that came to mind that I absolutely love. So where to start? I'm gonna start with the name Remy. So Remy is a name which means oarsman, so I really like it for that kind of outdoorsiness of it. It's obviously the Ratatouille character is called Remy, which might be why it's booming at the moment, because it's actually at number 252 and it's steadily rising. So it's kind of an on-trend name, but I love how soft and gentle it is, how different it is, but how once you hear it, you never forget it. So it's a gorgeous, soft, little, short and sweet name for a little boy. Wilbur. I loved Wilbur. I had it on my name list for my 3rd baby, mainly because I love Wilfred, and Wilf and Wilfred is one of the most popularly rising names of 2020, which you can see in a couple of videos ago. And I already had a Freddie, so I was like, actually maybe Wilbur is a way of changing it up. It's at number 584, so just outside the top 500, so it's more on the rarer end. But as I said, with Wilfred and Wilf being so popular, maybe it's been pinched by someone, you could go a bit left field and go with Wilbur, and it's super cute. Tobias is a really lovely one. It's inside the top 100 at 98. So you probably know little Tobias. I think lots of you have Tobias as a name. And it is a Hebrew name of Greek origin, meaning God is good. So it's kind of traditional, but it's got that extra something to it. It's so unusual, you know, it doesn't sound like anything else, and it really can be owned, and it can have great middle spot names as well. This next name probably won't surprise you guys, but I didn't realise how popular the name Solomon is. It's a name I've always liked. I love Sol as a nickname, obviously, which means some. It's actually at number 351, but what I was interested in is, unlike many of the others that we see come up, a lot of these are rising in popularity, it's really been steady for literally 20 years. It's been around the 350, 200 mark for 20 years. So that shows just what a traditional name is, but it's got that kind of outstandingness about it. It doesn't sound like the typical, and it means peace. From my research, it was a male Hebrew name taken from Shelomo was the original name, and it's been modernized into Solomon, and we know it more like that. So do you know little Solomon? And I love the meaning peace. It feels really right for right now. The name Rumen, I really like this name. It's at 62 and it's really rising. So it's gone from being a kind of name that would have been surprising, maybe like a celebrity name, to being a really everyday name. And actually, I know one of the mums at school just had a baby named Roman, and I was like, oh yes, she got that name, because I would definitely again use it. It's quite out there. That's my kids playing on there. They're upstairs. But yeah, it's a great name. I mean, do you feel like it is more wearable now than it maybe was 10 years ago? It's definitely gone on a big peak, and I'm so surprised it's at 62. What about the name Otis? So it was so funny on the community tab. I did this list, and then so many of you who said you love the name Otis, and it is like trending through the roof massively. I don't know if you're watching Netflix at the moment. Have you heard of it? Everyone is Netflix binging Sex Education, the TV show, and the main character is called Otis, and we know that Netflix basically chooses our baby names for us. It's either me or Netflix. But yeah, Otis. I know a little Otis. He's absolutely gorgeous. It's 192, and it's my prediction of a real high flyer, so I'd get in there fast with Otis. You're going to think this is a strange one, so I've kind of gone a little bit wider, but it's at number 1,455. Literally doubled last year from nowhere. Bang, suddenly it's in the charts, and that's quite high for something that's brand new. It means loud or renowned, and those German names are so popular. I know so many of you are begging me for the German name list, which is on its way, and I love Lido. It's one of the first names I mentioned on my Instagram account, Baby Name Envy. Little plug there, which is a bit unloved, I know, at the moment. But it got a lot of love for Lido, and I first heard it in a playgroup and was like, that is such a cool name. I've got to say the name that I got wrong last week, which is the name Micah. It's at number 262, and I said Micah, and a lot of you said, is it Micah, is it Micah? Most mums with this name say Micah, so obviously that is correct. That's how his name is in the Bible. So, but Micah, I have heard that pronunciation of it as well, that maybe that's more to do with the singer and things like that people think it's Micah. I really like it. I think it's one of those trendy Hebrew names that's going to come mad bang higher up in fashion. Sorry mums of Micah's, but I do, and it's at number 262 at the moment. Luka, quite similar, is at 51 and rising through the charts very fast. It's a place name, it's Italian. There's a few more Italian names on this list. We really like them, and Luka is just got that twist. There was a lot of Lukes kind of in the 80s, weren't there, 90s, and so Luka makes it a real modern contender. What do you think of Gideon? I've mentioned Gideon before, and I think with George, to me it does go along with like George and things like that. I didn't put Griffin because I think maybe it's a bit out there. Gideon is holding steady. It's been inside the top 1,000. It's at number 777 now, which is very neat. But it's been around there for 20 years. Again, very steady. It's not had a rise and a huge peak, but it's been around for such a long time that everyone kind of knows it. And I just think it's a really handsome name for a little boy. Evander is a little bit more rare, and it's a little bit one that's creeping in as a hipster name. There were 12 babies named Evander last year, but from 0 in 2010, so it's literally gone like boop if you look at the charts, and it means bow warrior, strong man, so it's kind of got that current modern vibe of kind of Game of Thrones sort of about it a little bit, Evander. And I just think with the girl's name Evie, and I've got Evelina, Evander's just such a really gorgeous boy version of it, and I think it's going to keep rising in popularity. Devin, there's a few place names on here. I really like Devin. It's at number 675. Obviously it's gender neutral name. It means defender, which refers to the Celtic inhabitants who fought off Anglo-Saxon invaders during the Dark Ages. Of course, Devon is a place here in the UK by the coast, a seaside resort, a very calming place. So it's got a lot going for it as a name. And actually then I saw the name Devin, if you put an I there, is actually the old Gaelic word meaning poet, and I was like, oh, do I put Devin? Do I stick with Devin? I stuck with Devin because it was my original, and it's at number 675, but you could go with either of those. What do you think of the name Cruz? I like it. Obviously it was a Beckham name, and whenever a huge celebrity like the Beckhams choose something, obviously Harper went crazy popular afterwards, but it can be polarizing because you don't want to seem like you've copied anybody, but it's just a name I really like. I love the Z, I love the one syllableness of it. It's at number 341, so it's in that kind of sweet spot that we talked about earlier. It means cross in Spanish and Portuguese, but what do you think? Would you really associate it with Cruz Beckham? I'm going to give you a couple of Hebrew names. I have done a whole Hebrew boy name list because obviously Noah has been around for so long as a really popular name, Jonah, all those names. There's a few more great ones. Ezekiel. I've talked about it before, we all love it. I don't know if anyone's used it yet. Does anyone have an Ezekiel? He was a prophet. It's actually up 600 places in just 2 years, and it's quite near the top. I haven't actually written where it is. I'll just leave you hanging. But I know it's up 600 places in the last 2 years, and it's just one of those I really predict is going to come up like Ezra did. Ezekiel's going to be like the next version of it, or Boaz. So this is another name we talked about before. It was totally unranked in 2014, and now it's at 1,610. So it's again just jumped into the charts quite high. Boaz. It's one of those harder ones to pronounce because it looks like Boaz, but you say the Boaz. I really like it, and I think again for a Noah, a Boaz could be a great alternative to it. So where am I on my list? Finian. I have a Finn. I love Finian. I just think it is so sweet, and I didn't go with that. He's just Finn. His name was really unusual when I kind of chose it, and then went boom, popular, annoyingly enough. But Finian's only at number 1,132 and could be a great option. It means white or fair. And Finian's Rainbow was Fred Astaire's last musical, which I thought was cute to know. Clayton, a great surname. His first name is a 411, been steady for about 20 years again, and it means a village on the clay. So a lot of counties like Lancashire, Sussex in the UK were these towns, Clayton, and it would have been a traditional way of naming a child to know where they were from. I love it. It's got that kind of surname as first name, cool. And again, it's been steady for 20 years. It shows it's a very popular, very wearable name for all ages. Clayton could be a great one for you guys. Atlas. It's gone from totally unranked 10 years ago to number 564. It just speaks to us. I think we've loved that travel over, much more of a global vibe. The god, the Atlas, you know, who used to separate heaven and earth. So it's got steeped in stories and meaning, Atlas. And just a really wearable name as well. Brooks is a bit more rare. It's a surname as first name. There were only 9 babies named Brooks last year, but it's one of my faves. I've mentioned it a few times on a few different lists. I just think it sounds really cool. I love the S at the end. There's a celebrity who's just had a Brooks. Oh no, Banks. Who's had a Banks? I can't remember her name. I really like her. Anyway, Brooks. I really like Brooks. And I think I've always liked Brooke as a name, but it's a bit more polarizing, you know, it's a bit more obvious, whereas Brooks was a bit more trendy to me, a bit more modernizing Brooke, and I love the whole idea of the nature vibe with it. But what do you think, Brooke or Brooks? Would you always just think it's annoying to add the S on the end? Some people would, I know. Caspian I've actually put Caspian / Caspian because I'm sitting on a fence. It's a really lovely name. It's one I've always liked, and actually Caspian is at 1,200 places in 2 years alone. It's now at 841, so I'd get in there fast with Caspian. It's just such a great soft name for boys, but trendy. Caspian is after the Caspian Sea, and that's at number 535, so they're kind of close. 535, 841. Do you have a preference between Caspian and Caspian? Caspian Sea is great. Caspian more means hollow. Not so much fun, but I love both versions of the name. Franco. I love names ending in O, as you know. An Italian one. Oh, actually, is it Italian? It's a 786. It means Frenchman, so maybe it's French. But I would think of it as Italian, or free man. I know a few Francos, and I always think it is such an adorable name. I know a grown-up Franco, and I know baby Francos. Frank is a great vintage male name, but it seems to be more modern to add the O in. So Franco, I wanted to put on this list. Kingston as a place name, mostly named for Kingston, Jamaica, but there's Kingstons all around the world. It's up 1,000 places. It means King's Field, and again, place names are so popular. Kingston upon Thames is quite near me where I live. That's where Stormzy lives as well, and Gwen Stefani has a baby called Kingston, and I love it, and I didn't know it means King's Field, and I really like that about it. Lawson, surname as first name again, doubled in popularity in the last 10 years alone. It's now at 465. So if it doubles again and then doubles again, there's no reason why it would stop. And I think it's hit so many trends. Sunny is a great nickname. We love those SON. Hudson's one of the most popular. So you could go a little bit different and go with Lawson. I've got a great friend called Lawson, so I could never go with that myself. But I could go with Mason. I do feel like I am quarantining with the Kardashians for the amount of Kardashian series I watched since lockdown, and Mason obviously is Kourtney Kardashian's eldest, the eldest children. Would you like a Kardashian baby name video? I think it's going to happen because I'm so into the Kardashians at the moment, and it means one who works with stone, and it's one of those things that's actually getting a little bit less popular than it was. Maybe it just got that celebrity vibe and got used so much, and maybe we went off it a little bit. But Mason, I think, could be worth a little re-look at if we were looking for something that's kind of on trend but not trendy, but not kind of old-fashioned. Then Mason is a great one. Orson, I love, because it means bear cub. It's just such a cute name. It's a 541 Orson. O names we always talk about, so popular, Oliver, Olivia, all those O names. Orson, I think, is one that you guys will really love, especially with that meaning if you've not thought about it before. So I think I've done them all, because I've just literally gone in such a weird order. Okay, so those are all my choices, and now I'm going to do my viewers pick. Is it all quiet now? Now that I've finished talking to you guys, the kids have gone silent. It's always the way. I've got 3 children, and they're in lockdown. They've just finished homeschool, so they're just like, but yeah, what cuties anyway. I hope it hasn't been distracting. So there was about 250 extra names that you can go and read right now over on the community tab, and to join in next week, do hit subscribe, and then if you click along the top, it will say videos, playlist, community, and I always put up a few days before what the name list is going to be, and you guys join in. So let me go through the ones I have chosen to share with you, but there are so many tons of good ones. So Shan, she had the boy name Emrys, and the reason I had to share this was because, so funnily enough, every list I've read lately, and I spend a lot of time reading baby name lists, has had the name Emrys on it. So I wonder if it's going to be one of those that's coming up. And I don't know how funny. So it's apparently on the TV show Merlin, which might be why. And she says, I know you've mentioned Ambrose before, and Emrys is the Welsh version. How funny that we just talked about Ambrose being chosen by Jess earlier, and I didn't even make that connection. Lots of you loved it. So yes, Emrys. Funny. I think that's going to start to be one you hear a lot more. Andrea Thurlow, hey Andrea, said she's always loved the name Soren for a boy. Me too, I really like it. I think it's Scandi or Welsh. I know it's used a lot over in Sweden. And Simran says she had a brother called Soren, so maybe she knows a bit more about it, but I just love the softness of it. And I always think if anyone's watched Charlie and Lola, why wouldn't you if you're a mum? She has an imaginary friend called Soren. That always makes me think of that. Tegan Ann Wall, hi Tegan. She has one of her son's middle names is Beren. It's from her husband's favourite story by J.R. Tolkien, Beren and Luthien. Beren. So she's saying Beren with the N. So I think I'm saying it right. I hope I am. But I really liked it. I think it's just so unique and different, and it's lovely to hear of those names actually being in use and where you got them from. So you let me know below your baby's names. Maisha K, hi Maisha, her brothers are called Malachi and Dinari. So I love Malachi. It is again the one I've seen on so many lists lately, popularity lists, trendy boy names, rare boy names. It's really gaining in popularity, Malachi, but I've never heard Dinari. So that's a beautiful name. So that's beautiful names that your mum has gone for there for your brothers. Tani Freestone, hey, I love this. Her little boy's name is Khoa. Isn't that so nice? I would love to do a Hawaiian name list. I'm just obsessed with going to Hawaii at the moment, and Khoa seems very Hawaiian to me. Let me see what it actually means, because I haven't actually researched these ones as I have my own ones. It is Hawaiian, oh how funny, and it means brave, Khoa. I absolutely love it. I think it is such a great choice, and if you don't follow any Hawaiian YouTubers yet, do you follow Ellen Fisher? Obsessed. She just had her 5th baby, and they live out in Hawaii, and I just love it. And Hannah, she had the most popular comment actually over on the community tab, which was they had a little boy called Sheppard, and I just love it. Sheppard again is one that I think is so much more wearable than it was a few years ago. Shep is a great nickname. She's pregnant with a little boy, congrats, and she plans to name him Bodhi, but they also liked Oakley, and it was her grandfather's name. I loved Oakley. I could not sell Oakley in to my husband, and I couldn't believe it. I was so gutted. I held it like a little treasure to tell him when I was pregnant with my 3rd, and he was just straight away no. Bodhi I absolutely love. Sheppard I absolutely love. I'm so jealous of Sheppard and Bodhi. And actually I told you before that I met a little girl called Bodhi once at playgroup. she was the cutest thing, and since I've been obsessed with it as a girl name as well. Laura Polak, hello Laura. She has got Park, Oslo, Foster and Alton. What I loved about this, I love Oslo, and it's a name that as soon as I read it on Laura's comment, I remembered how much you guys love it and how many of you said you love the name Oslo. You're probably gonna be mad at me now for mentioning it, but a lot of you have mentioned that name to me and I was like, yes, so hit that off. I love Park as well. I really do love it because I've read the book Eleanor and Park. Oh, it's so good if you've not read it. And Alton is one of my really good friends' surname. I think it's a Turkish name, isn't it? Yes, but Oslo, great one, great for those place names. I should do my place name one again, shouldn't I? And my last one I've picked is Paula Hogan. She had some beautiful names. Maverick, which is one of the most popular rising boy names. You can see the full list a couple of videos ago. Rhodey, Cameo, Anchor, Usher, Rush. And the one I wanted to point out to you is the name Bellamy. So you guys mention names to me so much. There's some that come up all the time and Bellamy is one of them. There's obviously a name you guys really, really love. Comes up for girls and boys. So what do you think of Bellamy? So those are my viewers' picks for this week. But honestly, they were all so great. And thank you so much for always contributing. And it just gives me such a nice sense of community over here and so many brilliant lists. I may as well just read that out. Would you want me to read, like, just read names, like 250 names to you? Thanks so much for watching. I'm sure it's a really long video, but we've got all the time in the world in lockdown and I've got loads more name lists coming up. I am getting my Around the World series together as well on Wednesdays, so do hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any videos. I would love it if you've watched all the way through to make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all on my next video. Lots of love from my family to yours, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye guys.